What's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Marvel Legends Hercules. And I'm excited to get this classic version of the character. A couple of years ago, Hasbro gave us this awesome Hercules figure. I thought this was great, but it was a more modern look, and I was more of a fan of the classic version of Hercules. So when we got this figure, you know, I think everybody just kind of felt like it was only a matter of time before we got a classic version on this same body. So I'm happy that Hasbro finally got around to it, and I think it looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with the packaging. Big Herc does come in this old school Marvel superhero retro style packaging. I think he looks very cool in there. I love how we have the comic book artwork in the back, and I didn't notice any panels that had Hercules in them. It was just like random Marvel stuff, but it does look cool. And then right here we get a look at Hercules himself, looking pretty badass. On the back of the box we get the bright yellow and blue colors, definitely gives off that old school feel. And then we get a little bit of information about Hercules himself. The retro packaging is always awesome. I just wish that it was collector friendly. I know that Hasbro wants us to buy 2 of each of these characters. You know, I'm not gonna do that for Hercules, but I do wish that I was able to put them back in the packaging. And I know that there's ways that you could open these figures to minimize the damage on the packaging, but I think I'm just a little too lazy to care about that. I just wish that it was collector friendly and I didn't have to worry about damaging this awesome packaging. But it is what it is. It is a packaging, so it's going in the garbage. And with that, let's go ahead and rip Hercules right out of this pretty looking box and take a look at the figure. All right, so here we have Hercules pretty much right out of the box, but I did go ahead and put on his fist so we didn't have to look at his awkward gripping hands the whole time. But yeah, I think this is a pretty great figure. I do have a couple of little problems with it, but nothing major. But let me go ahead and get those things out of the way very quickly. So first off, something that's super annoying about this figure is the fact that he doesn't have the pinless joints on the elbows. And the reason why it's so annoying with this guy is because he does have them on the knees. So I just don't understand that. You know, if they're going to do it on the knees, you might as well do it on the arms. And I get, you know, they're going to reuse parts or whatever. But if that's the case, don't even do it on the knees, because it's just like frustrating. It's like, why half-ass it? Like if they decided not to do the pinless elbows or pinless joints, then okay, fine, it is what it is. But if they're gonna do it on the damn knees, just do it on the elbows. Just be consistent. Like, I don't understand. I just don't get it, you know? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me, because the figures look so much better with the pinless joints, obviously. So you could see that on the legs. They look really good. And the arms just kind of look weird, and it just looks off because he's got pinless knees but not pinless elbows. So, you know, in my opinion, if you're gonna do it on one, just do it on both, or don't do it at all. So I might be alone in that, but that's something that bugs me. And then one more small gripe I have with this figure is that some of the skin tones don't quite match. So his legs have like a flesh tone and it looks good and everything, but then when you come down to the boot, you could see that the flesh color on the boot doesn't really match the leg. And I know the reason why. It's because they have the brown boot and they had to paint over it, so obviously the color is going to end up a little bit different. But, you know, it's a little distracting when they're so close together and you could see the color differences. It's not a huge deal, but it's something that caught my eye, and it's just something that, like, I'm having trouble ignoring now at this point. And then one other minor thing, which it's not a huge problem to me, but I'd imagine that people would point this out and see it as an issue. He does have a bunch of like hair on his upper body, and it looks cool and everything, but he's got no hair on the legs. So you know, hair is not, it's inconsistent. Someone could have hairy arms and not hairy legs, right? I guess, I don't know, but I just wish that he had hairy legs to match the hairy upper body. A small little goofy thing to complain about, but it's something that caught my attention. But aside from those little gripes, I think this is an awesome figure. I'm having a bunch of fun playing with it. I love that he came with a cheesy, smiling Hercules head. I think that's awesome. Has a lot of attitude, and it makes his figure extra fun. You could put him in all kinds of different, like, you know, like strongman poses, just like him flexing his muscles, doing his thing with this cheesy ass grin. I think that's very cool. And there is a lot of reuse going on here, but there's enough like added parts to make it feel different. He does have the same upper body as the previous, and I'm glad that they finally reused that, because I think this is a great upper body sculpt. It works really good for bigger characters. I would love to see them make Gladiator using some of these parts, especially like the upper body. I think that would be awesome. Gladiator from the Shi'ar, that is. I think that we're in desperate need of an update for that figure, and I would either like to see it on this guy, on this body, or on the Omega Red body. But yeah, I think this would work really good for that type of character, and just other big characters. I think Luke Cage would probably be pretty good on this body. I don't know. I feel like this is a good, like, not overly humongous muscular body, but you know, obviously like a big strong guy. So I really would like to see them revisit this mold a little bit. But it works very well for Hercules, and I think this classic version of the character looks really, really good. Just check him out, flexing, doing his thing. And yeah, he's really an awesome looking figure. And then taking a closer look at the details on Hercules, starting off with this head sculpt, I really like what we have going on here. This is a very good facial expression, very fitting for the character, and I think they did a pretty good job with this head sculpt. The paintwork is okay on it, as you could see right here on the top of the beard. You could see that a little bit of the beard is still the same color as the rest of the face. It's not a whole lot, and from most angles you can't even see it, but if you're zoomed in close here, you could definitely tell that they didn't apply the brown as well as they could have. But it's not bad at all, you know, it's just one of those things. And the rest of the beard hair actually looks really good. A little bit of the mustache is still skin color as well. But still, it's not too bad at all. I think for the most part, they did a pretty good job with the paintwork. The teeth look good. The eyes look really nice. I do like those blue eyes a lot. That looks good. And then he's got that gold crown on his head or whatever. A head guard, maybe we could call it. Yeah, that'll work, right? And then the hair looks really nice too on the top of the head. We've got some nice paintwork going on. And then for some reason, the hair coming out from the bottom of the head guard is like glossy compared to the top section of the hair, where it's like a matte color. So that's kind of strange, but you know, whatever. It is what it is. Not a big deal at all. I think for the most part, this is a really nice looking head sculpt. And the next head sculpt, we have a more serious looking Hercules, and I think this is awesome too. I love that they included both of these because, you know, that's two different sides to this character. Sometimes he's goofy and fun loving, and other times he's about, you know, going to battle or whatever. So I think this is a cool looking head sculpt, and once again, I think the paint is pretty decently applied. Again, you could see that there's still a little bit of skin color on the beard, but you know, I think for the most part it does look good and it's not too much of a distraction. But when you're looking up really close, you could see that it's not exactly 100% perfect, but still I think this is a great looking head sculpt. I do like the facial expression. Same thing back here where the bottom of the hair is glossy and the top is like has like a matte finish. It must be because the top hair is like a different piece or something, you know, and for the hair at the bottom of the head guard they probably had to paint that, so you know, it's all good. Again, I think this is a great looking head sculpt. And then moving down into the rest of the body, I do like whatever this thing is called. I was almost going to call it straps, but whatever it is, I think it looks pretty good. It is a loose piece, so you can remove it if you want, and you could see that the rivets do have some very subtle metallic paintwork, but then when you come around to the back of the figure, they just decided to not paint any of these rivets. So that is super lazy. I don't like that at all. You know, it is in the back of the figure, so it's not a big deal, but just on principle, it's like, come on, man. They could have painted the rest of that. But luckily, the front does have that paintwork, and it does look good. And as you can see, he does have some hair all over the upper body here. That all looks good. The muscles on this body look good too, so yeah, it's very well sculpted. I believe this was sculpted by Mace Shelf, or this upper body section was. You know, so they did a good job with that. And you could see here that the belt is very well done. It's got like the H right in front that looks nice. It's painted gold. You could see that the paint doesn't quite match the paint on the arm guards here. It's slightly different, but it makes sense. You know, this is like on a brown thing and they had to paint it, and then these are just casted in the color that they need to be. And moving down to the legs, as I mentioned before, we've got those nice pinless knees. And then yeah, check this out. You can see that the skin colors are slightly different, but not a huge deal, just something that I noticed. And we got the toes here. The toes I feel could have been painted a little bit cleaner. But you know, it's not horrible at all. Just a couple of little imperfections here and there. I think for the most part, this is a really good looking figure. And yeah, it's, you know, one of those classic looks for Hercules. It's probably not my favorite look for Hercules, but it is one of his classic looks. So I'm happy to have it. And then for accessories, aside from the two heads that we've already looked at, he does come with two different sets of hands. So first off, we have a pair of fists, and then we have a set of gripping hands that could be used to hold on to his mace. And the mace that he comes with is very nice. As you can see, it's a big golden mace. The handle is painted green, and then the straps at the end here are painted brown. But this does look nice. It's got some pretty good sculpted details, and it definitely does the job. So I like that he came with the hands, the heads, and an extra weapon. I think that's pretty awesome. And now for some size comparisons, we have the retro vintage Hercules alongside the previously released Marvel Legends Hercules, and I believe that he came from the Endgame Thanos Build-A-Figure wave, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but anyways, I think they're both really good figures, but I definitely prefer the classic version. And I don't have the first Hercules that Hasbro released, the one that came out when they first got the Marvel license. I had that figure, and I thought it was kind of cool, but I think I chopped him up and used him for a custom, because I don't know where the hell he's at. But I wish I had him just to throw him in here. But anyways, it wasn't a great figure. This new one is definitely the best classic Hercules figure out there. It's probably the best one that we'll ever get. And then on the opposite side, we have the Marvel Legends Unworthy Thor. And that's another body that I'm a little surprised that they haven't really revisited, because that's a pretty good buck. I don't know why they haven't used it for bigger characters. But anyways, and then next up we have him alongside a couple of other half-naked dudes. On the left we have the Marvel Legends Namor, and on the right we have the Masterverse He-Man. And you know, again, I'm kind of jealous of this He-Man figure because he does have the pinless joints, and characters like Hercules and Namor would just look so much better with pinless joints, you know. So like I said, Mattel's doing a good job with that stuff, and I wish that Hasbro would definitely just kind of make that the standard, you know, especially when it comes to figures that don't have a lot of stuff going on, or that are just like bare, you know, like, or that have the body parts showing or whatever. Like pinless joints would go such a long way. Anyways, I don't want to cry about that too much, but you know, I just wanted to point out that on a similar styled character, Mattel's doing it and it looks a lot better, so it is what it is. And next up we have Hercules alongside the Marvel Legends 80th Anniversary Thor and the Marvel Legends Ares. And then this is a random mass comparison, but here we have Hercules alongside the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Beta Ray Bill. I would really love to see Hasbro do a Beta Ray Bill, man. I think they could do a good job, especially if you take a look at the 80th Anniversary Thor. That figure is so awesome. I would love to get a Beta Ray Bill figure that's as good as that one. But for now, I still love this Toy Biz one, and I think it still holds up pretty well. On the opposite side, we have the Marvel Legends Wonder Man from the Abomination Build-A-Figure wave. And then next up, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends 80th Anniversary Captain America and Marvel Legends 80th Anniversary Iron Man. And I think that Hercules is going to look awesome next to his fellow Avengers on the shelf. And then for the final size comparison, we have Hercules alongside the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap and Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man. And the articulation on Hercules is pretty good. Nothing we haven't seen before. It's pretty standard Marvel Legends articulation, but he's still a lot of fun to pose around and play with, and you could definitely get him into some good poses. So let's go ahead and take a look, starting off with the head. The head is on a ball hinge joint, so it does look side to side. He can look up to about right there, which is pretty awesome. If you want to have him fighting some giants or something, then you could have him look down to right there, which again is pretty good. He does have an ab crunch. The ab crunch is pretty nice. It goes forward to right there. Look at that. Yeah, that's pretty good. That'll work. Then it goes back to right there. He does have a waist swivel, but you do have to shift his belt up a little bit to access it. But there it is. And then he does have ball jointed shoulders that do go all the way around. His arms could only come up to the side to about right there because he does have these big, huge shoulders. Yeah, there we go. His arms go up to right there. Not too bad. And then he does have upper bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows. There we go. Bam. So you can get him in his muscle man poses. He does have a swivel and a hinge at the wrist. Whoa, lost his hand. There we go. He's got a swivel and a hinge. And then for the legs, he can kick forward to about right there. Which is pretty good for a big dude. And if you use his other leg to lean him back a little bit, you can make it appear that he's kicking higher. And then legs only go back to about right there. They come out to the side. Pretty decent amount. He's got upper thigh swivel. Double jointed knees. Bam. There we go. You could have him throwing a flying knee. So that works. He's got a lower leg swivel. At the foot, we have rocking ankles that go side to side. They go up to right there, come up to right there. And yeah, that's about it for the articulation. Pretty good stuff. Not only can you get him into like cool and goofy like muscle man poses, you can also get him into some pretty good fighting poses. Let's see if you could do my go-to thing here, the boxing poses. Pretty good, pretty good. I do think that diaphragm cuts should be standard in Marvel Legends figures, but you know, you could achieve the same kind of things with a good swivel and an ab crunch. And right here, got some pretty good stuff going on. Some nice punching action. So yeah, like I said, he is fun to play with. You can get him in some cool fighting poses and the cool, silly muscle man poses. So a lot of good stuff going on with Hercules, and I'm pretty happy with the articulation setup on him. Alright guys, so I think it's about time to get out of here. So overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I think this is a really good Hercules figure. There are a couple of things that kind of annoy me about him. He's got a couple of paint imperfections, but the one thing that really kind of makes me mad is the fact that he doesn't have the pinless joints on the elbows. And I'm sure it's annoying to hear me say that over and over, but I really think this figure would have benefited from that. He would have looked so much better. As it is right now, I think he's a great looking figure. It's a great interpretation of this version of the character, but I think having the pinless joints at the elbow would have really made this figure look a lot better. It would have looked like a step above what Hasbro has kind of been known for. And, you know, they're kind of going that way by slowly giving a bunch of their figures the pinless joints, but, you know, on Hercules, they kind of half-assed it, and that's very frustrating. So I really wish they would have went all the way and gave him pinless joints on the knees and the elbows. I think it would have made this figure look a lot better. But as it is, I'm very happy to have this version of Hercules. I wouldn't say that this is my favorite look for the character. It's probably my second favorite. The one look that I really like, and I'd like to see Hasbro actually revisit it, is the look that they did for him on their Hercules figure like years ago when they first got the license. They did an okay version of Hercules, but you know what they got going on now, they could definitely do it better, and it's a version of the character that I like a little bit more. It's the one where he had the skirt and then the things on his legs. I would really like to see Hasbro revisit that look for Hercules on this body, because I think this is a great body for the character, and I'm surprised that they don't use it more because it looks really good. It has some good articulation, and I think it would work well for big characters. So I would like to see them do that version of Hercules on this body. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what else they do with this. They've had it for a couple of years, and I feel like they just haven't really done anything. I think maybe they used parts of it. I think they used these shoulders on the 80th anniversary Thor and Thunderstrike. So there's that. But you know, I think they could make good use out of this body, and hopefully they do that in the future. But, you know, as for Hercules, I like this figure a lot, and I am happy to have this version of the character. I think he's fun to mess around with. He's fun to get into those goofy poses that Hercules is known for. I like the fact that he came with two different heads. I like that he came with two different sets of hands, and of course his mace. So he's got some good accessories, good articulation, and he's a good looking figure. And honestly, I'll always welcome old school, goofy looking Avengers characters onto my Avengers shelf. A look like this for Hercules does seem kind of outdated, but I love those old goofy looks. So whenever Hasbro decides to travel back and revisit these looks, I'm always down for it. So that's another reason why I like this figure. In general, I'm happy with it. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. Thank you very much. Peace.